And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm taking a look at a small card game from Korea, GameSapiens.com, The Greatest Military Commander. The Greatest Military Commander. That's the way it feels like it should be. It's a trick-taking game that uses military as the theming of the game. Comes in this nice little tin here with this sleeve. You don't even need the sleeve, I guess, but fits in the tin. Let's take a look at this, and we'll be back. In The Greatest Military Commander, there is a deck of cards that players will be working with. This deck of cards is made up of different types of cards. Most of the cards are one of three different suits here. You can see that we have the Army, the Navy, and the Marines, three different suits. And each of these suits comes mostly with numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the suits are between those numbers, although there are some cards that aren't in those numbers, and there's actually three of each of those numbers. So you can see here, these three have rankings. For example, this 4 here from the Navy has 1 star, then this one has 2 stars, and this one has 3 stars, showing which one is higher than the last one. There's also a Special Forces card for each of these, so that the Special Forces card is higher than any of the other 3 Army, Navy, or Marines. There's also a number 7 for each of them. They're the highest ranked card, but there's only one of those as opposed to the 3 of numbers 2 through 6. There is a number 1 private. He's the lowest guy in the game, but whoever has him gets to go first. Then there is an 8, 9, and 10. These folks here are not part of any of the military branches. They're above all of them. And then there's a couple special cards, and we'll talk about those in a bit. Now, whoever has the number 1 goes first. You're going to deal the cards out and give them to everybody. And whoever has number 1 can play first. They can play the number 1 or they can play anything they want. Now, when a player plays cards, they are allowed to play a card by itself. In which case, the next person must play a card. That they play a single card, the next person must also play a single card, and you will continue on playing single cards until one person, you just keep going around. Unlike a regular trick-taking game, when it comes back to me, I can play another single card, and whoever plays the highest single card, in this case, I played the 10, so there's nothing higher than a single 10, so I get all the cards, which doesn't really matter, and I get to lead the next trick. So I could play another single card and go on, and so forth. You can also play a pair of cards. So I could play 2 4s together here. Now when you play a pair of cards, each other person must also play a pair of cards. You don't have to play a pair of cards that are from the same region of the armed forces, but I play 2 Navy cards here. But once somebody does play 2 of the same, that's considered higher than 2 different ones, so then everyone else would have to play 2 of the same. I can also play 3 of the same, in which case everybody would have to play 3 of the same. I could play then what we would call a full house, where I could play 3 of one number and 2 of another number. And then everybody else would have to play a full house going around. The goal of this game is to get rid of all your cards, so you have to play cards hoping to get rid of them. There's a couple special sets of cards that can be played anytime, no matter what's been played. For example, if I play 1 card, everyone has to play 1 card. If I play a pair, everyone else has to play a pair. But you can play what is called a joint op, which is any 3 of the same number, like these 3 4s here, and then play the number 9, the Minister of Defense. That can always be played at any time. Those 4 cards can be played together. You can also play a mobile op, which is basically a straight of 1 suit. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 1 suit. You play that, and that's basically a straight. A blitzkrieg is the 3rd highest thing, and that is where you play 3 cards of the same suit and the same number, and then you play the Special Forces that matches that. And that beats almost everything. And then the Special Op is where you play a straight of all Special Ops people. Now, you will very rarely get these sets of cards that you can play, And there's also special abilities of the other cards. For example, the 7 cards can be played as a 2 through 6 with part of a pair to basically be played as a wild. You can play these special cards here. When you play the military police, you get to take, you can't lead a trick with that, but if someone else has led the trick, you can play that and take one of the cards someone else has led into your hand. You can play the warrant officer here with another card, and when you do that, that card, let's say someone else played a 1 single. I play this with a 4. That automatically makes me the highest card of trick, automatically win the trick, and I'm the highest. The opposite of that here, the Sergeant Major, can be played with a card that's less than what's already been played, and you just keep going around. It just basically lets you play out a card that's weaker than normal. These cards can't be played by themselves, so if you're stuck with them in your hand, and that's all you have, then you're out of that round. And then remember that poor old private at the beginning? When he is played, he names a number. You don't have to do this, but you can. And everybody has to discard a card of that number. There's a few other things. This is when you play cards together, it's called melds. So there's different kinds of melds, but essentially what you're doing is you're trying to be the first one to get rid of all the cards from your hand. Whoever does that wins. All right, greatest military commander trick-taking game. It's not a bad trick-taking game. Oh, that sounds so terrible. And I don't mean it to be. I enjoyed it. The problem is it's just a little too convoluted. Constantly have to remember what every card does. Constantly saying, what are the 4, we call them bombs, thanks to Teach You. What are the 4 things that bombs that can beat everything again? What is this? I mean, you really needed like a big reference card for each player to look at and go, oh, that's what that card does. Oh, that's what that card does. The thing about a trick-taking game is you play cards and you're like, I'll do this, do this. This is really a ladder climbing game. Okay, think along the lines of Teach You and Lexio, which is also from Korea. And there are many, many different ladder climbing games where essentially you're trying to get rid of all the cards in your hand. Well, this is a good one, but it's going to be hindered by the fact that it's too complex. The art is fantastic. The art looks great. It has a really good look. The military theme works well in it. It's just that because they don't put anything on the cards that indicate what that card does at all. Like, for example, the 7 can be a wild 2 through 6. How am I supposed to remember that? It's not indicated on the card at all. Or the Minister of Defense, a 9, can be put together with any 3. Again, these are all kinds of just weird rules you have to remember about the different cards. In the rule book, there's like 2 pages that are just on all the different characters and what they do. And that's a lot of rules that aren't indicated anywhere in the card. So I'm saying pretty much a basic thing here. The game itself is okay, although I actually prefer trick-taking games with 4 suits usually. This one has 3, that's fine, with like a 4th wild special forces suit I guess is in there. But I like special cards in trick-taking games. I think they're lots of fun. But when there's too many of them and we're constantly stopping the game because someone doesn't remember what a specific one does, or someone forgets to play one in the way it was supposed to be played, that really can stop a game cold. And I've played this multiple times and I've yet to have it play smoothly because of that. So I think it's a great idea, but I think it's unpolished. I think it's unpolished and I think it's not going to be intuitive to people playing it. It might be one that trick-taking players who are looking for something unique and special, they probably will hunt this one down. But I think it's not going to do much more than that. But still, what a cool name. The greatest military commander.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.